I'm almost a PhD. So the way I'm gonna explain the project gonna be based on two separate videos. First, I'm gonna talk about different options that we have, and after that, we're gonna review videos from my previous students, and we're gonna just talk about this, okay? Like we're gonna talk about good part, bad part, not bad part, good part, and the best part. And it's not like I would just undermine anyone's work, but I would just say that what they could have done to just, make the video better and improve it. So first of all, you're gonna have two options, like option number one, option number B, and you're gonna choose one of those options, and you're gonna go ahead and complete the different steps that we have. Your final project actually worth 20% of your final grade. So technically, if you wouldn't finish your final project, if you wouldn't submit your project, you most likely cannot pass the course because like it's going to be tied to your class participation as well. And it is just very important to me. It just shows me how you actually worked during the semester and whether you understood the course in a good way or not. Option number one gonna be conservation of number, mass, and weight. You're gonna choose one of these, like either you're gonna choose number or mass or weight. Like you're not gonna just do all of them, okay? You need a child here, and the child must be between age 4 to 12. It shouldn't be older or younger, because if it would be older, it's gonna be, yeah, they're gonna answer every question because they are just too smart. And if they would be younger, basically they didn't develop cognitively yet. So the experiment wouldn't make sense, and it's gonna be a bad experience for the kid as well. So your participant, which is your kid here, it has to be your priority. You have to respect them. You have to actually accommodate everything for them. I'm going to talk about this more. But in general, just go for age 4 through 12. So for conservation task, if it is number, you need pennies or coins. If it is, we do have like mass, we don't have liquid at this point. But for conservation of mass, you need like Play-Doh or clay. In the beginning, like each of the conservation tasks, they do have like definite steps. You're gonna read them carefully. But for now, for example, in the beginning, you're gonna have a big chunk of clay. Then you're gonna make the clay or Play-Doh in two pieces. And you're gonna, for example, show them that whether like piece A is equal to piece B. And you're gonna just ask them to confirm, because if they would say that, oh, A is different from B, the whole experiment wouldn't make sense, because they do have some assumption from the beginning, which gonna make them distracted the whole time, and your experiment gonna be wrong. Throughout the experiment, you're gonna ask them some clarifying question, different questions like this. So please just check them carefully. And so this way your experiment makes sense. For conservation of numbers, you're gonna need 14 pennies or buttons, or for example, coins. So this is like the way you're gonna actually try to have like arrange your pennies in front of the child. You're gonna ask them whether like row A is similar or identical to row B. Then you're gonna go ahead and just follow the criteria that I mentioned here. Read them carefully. I don't want to like take your time going through each options, like each step one by one. I need to just do that by yourself. About weight, it's just the same as well. So again, you're gonna go through different steps. For example, you're gonna make bigger snakes versus a small one. You're gonna ask them clarifying question, or you're gonna call them like hot dog or something like that. And at the end of that, you're gonna actually try to challenge them a little and ask them like clarifying question, or try to understand their logic. At the end of the experiment, whatever option you chose out of option one, you're gonna praise the child and say thank you. If you can give them, for example, something that, as a present, like a toy, or for example, if the parents, they are okay, just give them a chocolate or something like that. We just appreciate them and just, make the whole process kind of pleasant for them. So I just want them to just enjoy the process. And don't look at this. I mean, I don't want children to look at this as like a crazy, difficult experiment. I just want them to have fun. So just give them that kind of grace. So this way, they would just have fun with you, and they would just, participate in the future in other scientific experiments as well. Because, like, I mean, I hope so. But so after you finished all these steps, actually during like in the process of doing the experiment, I want you to write, like, to take careful notes, which gonna be part of your documentation process. And that paper or those pages, they're gonna be submitted as part of your final project, and they're gonna be a grade for that. But by the end of the project, you do have some conclusion about what happened. So you're going to create a video, you're going to make a video for an average of 2 minutes, and you're going to submit that on iCollege. The video has different parts, which we're going to talk about that, but the first page or preview page must have this statement, like your course, my name as your professor, and your school, Georgia State University. That's mandatory. And if it wouldn't be there, that is a problem. Another point that I forgot is we don't have TikTok anymore. Like previously, I was asking students to do TikTok, but nowadays we don't have it. So it's just only YouTube. So after preview page that we already talked, you're gonna start with a short description of yourself. You're gonna say that, hey, I'm Nicole. I don't know, I'm a freshman, I'm a senior at Georgia State. Today I'm gonna do, for example, a conservation task, which is about XYZ. I will use this and that. When I say this and that, actually, it reminds me of White Lotus, season 3, which gonna be the last episode gonna be tonight. So I'm just very excited for it. But then you're going to talk about baby's age, gender, whether they do have developmental disorders or not. If they are typically developed, you have to mention it, and so on. Then you're going to show about, I mean, you're going to show the option that you chose. For example, hey, I did conservation of numbers and they are my pennies. I'm going to select this and that. And at the end, you're going to do the result and talk about your conclusion in simple words. I would say simplicity and being concise is the key. But I want you to just, communicate your science in an understandable way, like as understandable as possible. That was option 1. So, like in summary, I should just say that option 1 had 3 options inside of it: conservation of number, mass, and what was that? What was the other one? Mass. Yeah, it had 3 options, which I forgot. I do have a memory of a fish, but so you're gonna choose only one option. And you're gonna just follow up with the questions. And at the end of that, you're gonna do a video and submit your documentation, which was your observation throughout, like your notes throughout the experiment. Option number 2 actually gonna be for someone who doesn't have kids around, which can be so many of us, and they like cartoons and they want to do, I mean, they should do more self-study here. So here you're gonna actually observe television aggression. So here you're gonna choose 4 TV show. Like one of them must be education television program like Sesame Street or something like that. Another one has to be Saturday morning cartoons. I know that nowadays there is no Saturday morning cartoons, but it has to be something the same as this. Another one must be one of the early evening adult program. It can be, I don't know, a Western show or a crime drama, documentary, whatever you feel comfortable. And the last one gonna be your choice. For example, if I were you, or I saw that as I saw in so many of my students, for example, they would just choose, let's say, Young Sheldon. Or if they really love Game of Thrones, like myself, they would just choose that one. So after choosing that 4 options, you're going to count and record the number of violent or aggressive behavior on each program based on the criteria that I'm going to give you. So we're going to talk about the criteria of like counting those aggression, but there are going to be some analysis question. For example, here you're going to answer questions after analyzing each TV show, like one episode of each category. You're going to answer the questions such as what kind of variation in the number of violent episode is there among the type of program that you watch? You want to answer this question. You're going to answer the question of, for example, whether some of them portray more instrumental, which we're going to talk about this, versus relational aggression, more physical versus verbal aggression, and so on. So you're going to answer all of these 6 questions in your project. That being said, when you are actually checking one episode of each category, I want you to do another round of documentation here. For example, you're going to have a piece of paper watching each episode, and you're going to write down, okay, here I saw, for example, in minutes in minute 4, 26 seconds, I actually saw a verbal aggression. But for example, in minute 5, I saw an instrumental aggression. So you're going to just, write them down, and I'm going to check it. And it's going to be part of your final project grading criteria. This project is very much related to ESM model, like that crazy model that we were just talking about, that how school gonna interact with child's development, like social emotional development, how, for example, parents' work and choices gonna impact children's development and so on. You're gonna find different, like the definition of different types of aggression in chapter 13, pages 520. And you have to also check chapter 14, moral development, in page 572. So that is part of your self-study. Okay. Again, we do have 2 options. We already talked about option number 1. However, for option number 2, you're going to do self-study, and it's perfect for someone who doesn't have children around. You're going to actually check these specific pages and chapters by yourself to just understand the definition and examples of each aggression. Then you're going to actually choose 4 different categories of shows. One of them going to be your choice, but 3 of them actually going to be based on the criteria that I was asking. While you're watching each show, you have to write down your observation. You have to just, have some sort of documentation for me. So this way I would just understand that you watched the show and you are not talking like based on some fictional criteria of yourself. So just make sure your observation is correct. And it's very fun. I love that. I mean, I love both projects. For me, I love working with children. So I would love doing Piaget's experiment on a kid. But if I wouldn't have a kid around, I would just love watching different shows, write down the aggressive behavior. And at the end of that, I would just, conclude what's happening with each one. So after finishing your observation in option 2, you have to write down your conclusion in your documentation. Then again, you're going to create a video for 2 minutes, an average of 2 minutes. It's okay if it is like 150. It is also okay if it is like 215, like a bit, like 15 seconds more than 2 minutes. But I don't want you to just create something that is like, I don't know, an hour or like 5 minutes. Just make it short and sweet. So again, you're going to talk about yourself. Hey, my name is Armita. I'm in developmental psychology, spring semester 2025. Then you're going to just talk about the options that you chose. For example, I'm going to do Young Sheldon versus, for example, Rick and Morty, or so on. This is, for example, my observation. I found 15 aggressive behavior. 12 of them, they were, for example, let's say relational versus, I don't know, like 4 of them verbal. For each of them, at the end of the day, you're going to conclude what is happening with each TV show. And I want you to answer the specific questions. Let me show you again here, one by one, or you can just do that as a paragraph at the end. And you're going to answer them, and you're going to conclude whether children should watch those shows at all, or parents should just, cut down any kind of TV exposure for their kids. Another way gonna be, for example, a moderation here. Some students from my previous classes, they would just say that, oh, actually children should watch aggressive behavior, then they could just understand bad behavior versus like good behavior and so on. But it has to be based on a moderation from parents. For example, parents, they should just, sit down with them, or parents should just actually choose what kids gonna watch tonight. Or I did have a student, she was like arguing about the fact that actually children should watch cartoons or any sort of sitcom with their parents, because it is like some sort of sweet memories of, parent-child interaction whenever they are watching and having that kind of family time. They do have a good time, and we shouldn't just take that away from children. So again, when you are doing your video, I really want to see that part from your videos. It's just very important to me that where you are standing. So please do that. It's going to be part of the quality of your work. You're going to follow some specific hashtags here. It's going to be your name, the course that you are having again, the spring semester, your experiments name, and so on. You have to just, have these hashtags in your final work. I'm going to reserve the right for myself to use the videos for educational purposes. That being said, some good videos, I'm going to just show them in my teaching conferences, because I'm always very much proud of you guys, your creativity, and the way you are looking at different problems. Because to me, honestly, I've never thought about how precious it is to have like that kind of time with your parents, just sit down and just, watch that kind of documentary. But like when someone actually pointed that out, I was like, yeah, she has a point. Actually, if they would just take this away 100% from kids, what's going to be family time? I mean, how would you just define family time? I know that like dinner time, all of them, they are just very important, but watching TV with your parents, it's going to be a big part of daily interaction and your childhood. So I really want to see your line of thoughts here. So please talk about that. There are some notes here that I would say they are like common questions 99% of the time. I do have some students, they're going to email me. They are saying that we don't feel comfortable showing our face doing the video, or we are not feeling safe uploading our videos on YouTube or any other public apps out there. My answer is going to be, number one, if you don't feel comfortable showing your face, that is totally fine with me. You can just create a PowerPoint page, like slide number one, like the way I'm doing that. And I'm sure that you watched some of my lectures. My face is not out there. So just, close your camera, have like 5 slides PowerPoint. Number one gonna be your preview page. Number two gonna be the option that you chose. Number three gonna be your process. Number 4 and 5 gonna be the conclusion of your work and general implication. It's not hard. You are not showing your face and everything is okay, and you're gonna get your grades. I'm assuring you. There are some students, actually, I had like 1 or 2, but for this class, maybe more, but they were just saying that we don't feel comfortable hearing our own voice. My suggestion gonna be using auto-generated voice, which is just, you can just see that Instagram has it, and I'm sure that other apps also, like CapCut and all of them, they do have it. You guys are just 10 times better than me, so you can use it. All the description must be very simple and understandable for everyone. It's not only for this class. I'm hoping that other people out there, they could just benefit. I mean, like people on YouTube, or like parents, especially young parents, they could just benefit from your knowledge. They could just learn something from your videos. I want you to just make the video fun, be creative, because I do value creativity. There is extra credit for that. I'm going to give you some examples of my previous students, so this way you'll just understand how to design your videos and how to make it more creative, not only to get the full grade of your final project, but also get the extra credit, which is fun. Extra credit is gonna be up to 5 points, which gonna come on top of your final grade. For example, if your final grade gonna be 87, which gonna be a B plus almost, you can go to 92, which gonna be A. So it's gonna be on top of your final grade. So I'm just, encouraging everyone to be creative here, because like you're gonna get a lot out of this project. The timeline for the project, I would just say that, well, it's been my 5th year teaching developmental psychology. So I'm just telling you that it just came from a lot of trial and error. And I would say that this is like the most convenient timeline for everyone. First of all, the lecture gonna be open from tomorrow, but you're gonna have almost 21 days to finish this and make it as best as possible. And I just want you to just be the best of yourself. And I'm ensuring you that I see that. I just definitely see that. And I really want you to just get, the full grade for this. But you're gonna have 20 days to complete this project. There's not gonna be any extension, I'm telling you. So the lecture gonna be open tomorrow. You're gonna have a quiz right after that, like on Sunday, like due date gonna be Sunday. Then the week after that one, I'm gonna create another lecture, which I'm gonna answer any question that you might have. Like you're gonna email me probably asking a lot of questions. And again, I'm gonna answer every question you might have on the week of 21st. There's not gonna be any quiz, but by April 28th, I need you to submit your final project and no extension for that. Okay, cool. Again, here is grading criteria, preview page, important. It is part of your grade. Explaining your research in simple terms is also important. Showing some examples of your work. For example, the way a child answering your question, it has that actually amazed you, and you took careful notes based on it. It has to be in your video. Or if you cannot put the child's face there, you should just read through that line. For example, they answered me like that. So I do believe that, for example, they hit that subcategory of Piaget. Okay. If it is the cartoon, your job can be even easier. You're going to put that scene as part of your final project. There should be a clear conclusion for your project. If it is option 2, you're going to say that I believe that actually children should watch all of them because of this and that. Or you're going to say that, no, I do believe that like TV is just bad. It's just detrimental for children. It has to be shut off. I don't know, whatever it is, you have to just clearly conclude that there is no right or wrong answer for this part, but I'm just hoping that I could just hear from you about this. The last part of your video must be your advice. As a psychology major who did a lot of coursework, what is your suggestion? What can be achieved from your research? What's going to be the bigger picture? I want it in your video. And I'm going to watch all of them one by one, I'm telling you. Again, let's go through it. Having first page, necessary. Having last page, showing the conclusion, necessary. Following hashtags, definitely happening. Having 1 or 2 analysis questions, definitely happening. I'm not asking you to just answer every question from the slides that we have on your video, but I want you to just hit at least 1 or 2 of them in your video. But you're gonna do all of them for your project, but not necessarily, mention them in your video. Showing the procedure, research questions in an interesting way, definitely happening. Explaining your experiment in simple words, yeah, I mean, that's gonna be like your magic, really, to show that how knowledgeable and expert you are and what you learn from psychology, like developmental psychology. Your video must be less than 2 minutes. You must upload them on YouTube and iCollege. Actually, I changed this part. As long as you would just upload them on YouTube, that's enough. No need to, or iCollege, that's totally fine. If you don't feel comfortable to upload your video public, you can just make it unlisted, which means like it's just only between you and I, but you have to just put the link for me on iCollege so I can click and I can watch your video. Again, if a better way, I would say a secure way for doing that is uploading the video on YouTube for me with the link and also uploading that on iCollege. So this way I could just click on the video and just watch it by myself, but just do that together. Like if the first way wouldn't work, I could just at least have the video on iCollege instead of just emailing you or give you a grade 0 because I couldn't see the video, but yeah. But if for any reason you had any problem uploading, please communicate with me. Just tell me so I could give you a solution. We could just, resolve the problem. At the end of the day, I want you to just have the link on your iCollege as well. So in the last section, I'm gonna actually go over some examples with you guys. We're gonna talk about what part is the best, what part